Ottawa Bible Church family, hey, good afternoon. I'm doing this recording for us today just as a devotional to get us to reflect back on the book of Ruth as we start to prepare for this Sunday in chapter 3. You know, one thing I love about the book of Ruth is that you see solid character, solid work ethic in the characters within the book. And one thing we have to remember is this is not a fictional book. This is a testimony of real life crisis, real life tragedy, real life events that are taking place in Naomi's life, Ruth's life, Boaz's faithfulness and loyalty and to God in the midst of national tragedy. All of those things have been taking place. These are real people. If you cut them, they really bleed. And what we've been analyzing is in the midst of their destitution or their seemingly hopeless lives, God is still willing to work behind the scenes in the background to bring about the absolute best possible response. And you and I are no different. You and I live with the same type of faith, even right now in this day. We don't have God breaking forth the clouds today and speaking to us from heaven, but we do have his word. We do have the book of Ruth, and we do have this relevance of understanding, I don't know what God is doing in these times, but I'm going to entrust myself to his faithfulness. See, it's one thing for Ruth to be faithful or loyal to God. It's another thing for her to entrust herself to God's faithfulness back into her. One would say, it's all about my action, all about my end of the bargain, my end of the deal, right? I need to make sure that I'm faithful and loyal to him in the midst of trial. The other says, in the midst of my difficulty, I'm going to wait on my God to bless me, even in the fields of Bethlehem. This past afternoon, I spent some time with a good friend, Wes Sylvester, and I was out at Midland, and we were just having a discussion about this past Sunday's sermon. We were talking about how amazing it is that God has called mothers to bring about a multi-generational change through the discipleship of their children. We were talking about just a solid character in Boaz. And then we got to thinking yet again about Ruth's character. If you read with me in Ruth chapter 2, it says this in verse 17, "So Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. She took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also took it out and gave Naomi what she had left after she was satisfied." Some people think that's about 50 pounds worth of barley that she gleaned in one day. So for the sake of bringing about a visual aid, I've actually taken what Wes gave me today. He gave me a stalk of some wheat from behind the barn. And I want you to just see a picture of this wheat. Okay, so here would be the head of the stalk, and I'm going to rip it off for you just to see. This is what Ruth was doing. She would grab the stalks by the base, by the root, take a sickle, cut it off, and then she would have to take it up, bundle it, and then take it to the threshing floor, and of course, beat it to where she separated the seed from the stalk. Now, here's just the head of one stalk of wheat. Now, if I get it even closer to the camera, you can see there's one tiny little piece. Here's another tiny little piece. That fits in the palm of my hand, and that's a heavy piece. If I were to take these pieces off of the head of the stalk, what I'm finding is something that's almost near weightless. This is weightless. So for Ruth to work so hard in one day to come up with 50 pounds of this stuff shows us the character of Ruth. Yet again, in my hand, you can almost barely see it, but in my hand, there's just these tiny, tiny little kernels. That's the work ethic of Ruth. In the midst of her tragedy, she was saying, God, this is about the faith that I have to give you. Would you do something as I entrust myself to your faithfulness? Would you do something with me as God, I just trust that you have it all in your hands. For the little work that I can do with my hands, God, what work are you doing in the field of blessing within your world? Ruth was a woman of noble character. She was an excellent woman, a geshecht hayil, which is literally a Proverbs 31 woman, where she was willing to say, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I do know I want to be faithful to you. This coming Sunday in chapter 3, we're going to find exactly what God is doing. Hey, if you're struggling right now in moments of crisis, I want you to know that God is on your side. And if God can give us his one and only Son, how will him who not only gave us his one and only Son, how will he not also love us by giving us all the things that we ask and we need? If God can give us his Son, he can make provision for us today. Church family, I love you. Can't wait to see you on Sunday. Take care.